Good evening, everyone. I'm Rita Bacuzzi. I'm also known as Mama Rita Money. And yes, tonight we're going to break the silence and have the discussions that we know we all should be having, whether it's around money or any other issue in our lives. But I do find that, and I've heard this several times this week from people, I'd rather talk about sex, politics, or religion than money. And so for me, I know that once we break through this taboo talk and we get the experts to share with us how they work around and break through these taboo talks to create success in their lives. And I have Bettina Carey here with me this evening from weempoweryourlife.com. Welcome, Bettina.
Hello there, Rita. It's always so great to see you.
It is wonderful to have you. I love having engaging, empowering speakers that really understand that when we have that conversation around money to break through that taboo talk, we get to overcome. And in your words, your illustrious words, we get to shatter the revenue ceiling and that revenue glass ceiling. And I love that because it's not just about breaking through, it's about shattering it, getting rid of it. And we get to learn what works, what's not working, why we're doing what we're doing, and what is that vision to a revolutionary new way to hold money in a space that really opens up doors for us in extraordinary ways. And that's why I brought you on tonight, Bettina, because you are that role model, and your business model is one that is focused on that. And I love that you make it so easy and so simple, and you've provided and got all the sources together. And I would probably describe it like a buffet of goodness, so that especially business owners can be empowered and utilize and tap into all these resources that can elevate them to the next level. But we can't do that without a conversation. And so today and tonight, depending on where you're at, we get to do that. And I just want to say thank you for being here this evening. And I see a world, I think much like you do, where we have transformed into creating that ease of money that we all want, by connecting, by collaborating, by working together and working in unity, all because we had discussions around money, the most uncomfortable discussion there is. And so tonight I'd love to probably start off, I think it's always best to start off with, why did you start? Tell us a little bit about We Empower You, a little bit about you and your background, and why you started it.
Wow, the story actually goes back pretty far. So when I was a young girl in high school, I fell in love with a boy who became my boyfriend, and then he soon became my abuser. And I found myself the victim of domestic violence. So I was in a very disempowered situation at a very young age. And at one point in our relationship, after I had actually married him in high school, he caused the death of my newborn. And it took me a year to remove myself from those circumstances. I didn't have the money, I didn't have the resources, and he would often take my identity away, including my passport and my driver's license and so on and so forth. So I'm not like different than a lot of women that are out there that have come from situations of abuse or lacking of resources. And so that's really what spurred me into the career that I've had for more than 20 years of empowering others. And whether I'm running my own business, doing marketing, or I'm doing events specifically for empowerment-driven activities, I've just always been, very fervent about empowering others. But I also did so at the expense of myself. That saying where you need to put your oxygen mask on your own self before you help others. I didn't do that for the first 20 some years of helping others. And it eventually cost me the opportunity of being in the empowerment role that I had so longed to be in, and I had done so much for. And in 2011, I pretty much had to put it all down because I could not financially make it in this empowerment role. But I had the dream and I had the vision that I would have a group of people who would gather. And the vision was, and the mission was to change the globe one business at a time. And I was specifically looking for a solution to replicate a website design, a model, as it were, that could generate income through online lead generation. And I finally landed a relationship with another CEO and president of Income Activator, Lee Romanoff. And together we have come to create an opportunity for others that they can run an online business without doing the work and literally get rich by telling others where to go. So that's the long story made short. And, I became, I was a victim turned empowerer is the very short version of that story.
Wow, I so love with that story, and it resonates with me. I mean, one of the things that you said that I didn't realize was 2011 was the year I had to surrender everything as well for a very different reason. And that was because I got cancer. And then, as many of my viewers know, I got what I called financial cancer. And the biggest regret in my world at the time, you would think I'd be focusing on my health, but all my mind kept going to was the lack of wealth that I had. I mean, I'm going to say I'm more fortunate than most that I had resources, but I didn't have a recurring income coming in that if I got sick, my money would be working for me no matter what happened so that I could have the choices that I wanted to have with money. And I think this is so important, whether it's a health situation, definitely an empowerment situation in relationships. I think that that is so important, especially for women to have this discussion because it really is usually the women. It's our natural nature to be supporters for most. And we don't put the oxygen mask on. We support. And what I learned this week in leadership, learning about leadership of our lives, is that we get to create win win and sometimes win 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 situations. And when we're always supporting and we're always giving everything away, we have actually been an exemplary model of win lose because you lose. And the beautiful thing is that I think when people align like we do and have had, I'm going to say, common threads go through our lives, we're getting to see the same vision. And you're what you just mentioned, and I'm going to say on what's working, and I'm going to ask you to elaborate on it. The one thing that I'm seeing is we get to keep it super simple. You have a vision. I say, when you said that vision of unity, I envision people locking arms in arms to work together to support one another. And as we do, we create that win-win-win circle, which was totally possible. And I'm going to say, because you're doing it every day right now, and I'm getting to do that too. So much so that it really spreads a seed of abundance and possibility. And so it's one thing to have the vision, right? It's kind of like you're setting an intention to do something. But the next part is your mission, right? Your why. What is that? How does that vision come to reality, right? Well, that then takes action. I look at the mission as what are our expectations? And then the last piece, what you said is you took action. So it's really a 1, 2, 3 step, that vision, intention, that mission with that expectation, and the action. So I'm going to ask you first, like, what worked? Let's start with what didn't work. Because I know that we all go through. I say like I kissed a lot of companies, a lot of frogs along the way, in getting educated and seeing what didn't work. So much so that when I saw We Empower You, it was the vision that I had. It was simple. It was online. It was recurring. It was monetizing. I'm already touching on some of the what was working, but it just made 100% sense to participate so that not only could I grow, other people could grow. So tell me about like the maybe the challenges or the things that maybe sometimes business owners don't want to talk about. What are the pieces that are hard or challenging or were hard or challenging to get to you to this point?
Sure. Yeah. I have to say one of the biggest challenges, and I don't know if it's just women or, maybe there's men that suffer this as well. And it was the one woman show. So I was a one woman show, and I was holding down very large scale events as the primary host, the primary breadwinner, the primary person, who was Jack and Jill running up the hill. And although I would have people who would say to me, can I help? Can I help? Can I help? I would always just say, oh, no, I've got it. I've got it. I've got it. So one of the biggest things that changed for me in 2020 was I'm not going it alone. I'm running up this hill, initially with Lee Romanoff, then with Shay Vaughn, and then with all of the members. So we're locking arm in arm, like you say, and we're going up the hill, walking step in step with each other. So that's one thing that I had to put down, was this idea and this notion that I was the only one that could do it right. I was the only one that could keep everything under control. And instead, I've abdicated responsibility and given over responsibility for others to help me with this very, very big vision. So we have a team of almost 20 people now that are actually holding this vision for me and are able to execute. Even if I decide to go to Tahiti or go to Texas or go to Timbuktu, I have people that can actually rally around what I'm doing and to step in my stead. So that is a really big taboo and challenge in the financial world, is because you can only go so far and grow so fast if you're doing everything yourself, right? Because there's the human capacity, there's the 24 hours in the day, and then there's the work week of 40 hours in a week, and then 2,080 hours in a year, the typical work schedule. And even if you were to double that, which is oftentimes what I would do, at the end of the day, it is a glass ceiling, and it's like plexiglass. You can't break through it. The only way to get around it is to shatter the glass ceiling, in this case, by not going it alone. The second thing was that I also had to know when it was time to put down something in order to pick up something bigger. And this is a very key strategy, and that I follow this mantra every day. What am I doing that is small that I need to put down in order to pick up something bigger? And I'm constantly asking myself that. And in the sense of, what I had to put down the role of being the empowerer without a team, without support, without backing, without all of the knowledge, skills, and abilities that I needed. And I went out and I spent about 8 years putting more of myself together, learning skills that are now benefiting everybody in this membership. So sometimes you have to go get educated. You need to, like in your case, you have lots of ways that people can get educated in order to rise up. And the other thing too, I'd say the last part is that because we're locking arm in arm, we're lifting people up, right? And when you lift others up, you then can grow even higher and go to higher summits. And that's why we have a quarterly summit, is because we want to constantly be challenging ourselves to take another step upwards. Up the ladder we go, 2 steps, 3 steps higher each and every time that we go for it. And we're bringing others along with us. This is a really powerful environment that we're building. The structure is, as you say, recurring income. The structure is working together and collaboratively. And those are winning formulas in the world of finance. Recurring income, money while you sleep, it's possible. I used to hear about that and think, wow, this has got to be a scam of some kind to in your sleep, make money while you sleep. And then I realized it actually happens. I sometimes can open up my PayPal account and there's like thousands of dollars that have come in overnight, and I'm like blown away at this actual reality. It's not just a possibility, it's a reality, and it can happen to you as well.
Absolutely. And I love that you're saying that, because I think sometimes, and for many, it comes from this place. So I think the taboo word would be trust. Like, how do we trust who we collaborate with? And at some point, if you don't trust someone or some group, which I'm going to say the best way I find is go vet them, go show up in the communities, look at their websites, look at their histories. You can vet people, but there is no way that you ever could 100% know anything 100% of the time. But you can hold what's possible 100% of the time. And I think the first step is not always about trusting other people, about the collaborative. It really is when you're not trusting other people, where does that show up in your world elsewhere? Is it trust of self? Is it self-worth, right? Or that deserving, that a lot of times is that block that holds us back. So if we can take a step out in faith, I think, and be curious, I think just curious enough to explore, curious enough to learn and expand and see what others. So the best way I found is look at what success models are doing. And there are many different models, and you can see whether it's for a personal relationship or a business, it doesn't really matter. Look at successful models. That's why growing up, athletes, they don't put the mediocre players on their walls to look for inspiration when they're growing up, or rock stars as the role models. We need to start be putting posters of the businesses models that we love. We get to be clear on them, or the connections or the role models that we get to put on the walls. I'm going to say we empower you to be all over our walls as that inspirational role model, just like athletes do. And then we get to become them. We get to follow them. We get to watch. It is really that simple, which is super cool nowadays, especially with the virtual and Zoom. So we get to get past that trust barrier of ourselves and really like take steps out in faith, because again, the alternative is really locking yourself into distrust, which is, I mean, servitude, and becoming a slave to life mastering us versus us mastering it. And as I see We Empower You, when we lock arm in arms, really what everybody is doing is taking a step up, like you said, and I call that leveled up leadership. So you can see it in a forum. When you step in, you have a forum of people who want to collaboratively share. They give their all, as much value as they can pour out of themselves, so that this way in leadership, we all follow the model of what worked, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that seeing that is happening more and more, and I'm going to say out of trying times, right? We all have our life stories. I'm going to say as a community, as the community of being human beings in the world, we all got to experience tragedy together, some at different degrees to others, and we're still seeing life happening. So we can either say, why me? And have the position or perspective of, why me? Like, oh my gosh, we can play that victim role. Or we can say, why me? What do I get to do next? What is my next level to create a change that I want to see? What is it that I wish could happen differently?
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head around trust, right? That's why we actually have weekly meetings, because we really invite people to come and explore who we are as a community. And you'll see and you'll feel the integrity of this group. You'll see the collaboration model. We're all here for each other, so that there's a win-win-win going around. But what's really interesting is that our society is so litigious. There's a lot of fraud and scams globally. You know, the number one crime in America is identity theft. And so people have this fear that overlies them around scams and opportunities, and they don't necessarily discern very readily between one and the other. And so they've, actually really great opportunities can be passing them by because they're in such a state of fear. So coming to a state of trust, knowing, liking, and trusting is actually the first step for anyone who wants to be a part of the We Empower You community. We don't have people that sign up to our community who haven't been to multiple meetings or an all-day summit, because it doesn't happen that way. They have to come to know us, like us, and trust us.
So tell us a little more. Oh, go ahead. And then.
Oh, yes. And so it literally is dropping fear and embracing trust.
Yeah. And it's so important when you can take, I'm going to call baby steps into a safe zone like that, so that this way you can it really is that stepping stone to flourishing and growing, because you're going to learn. It's a natural byproduct. So tell us a little bit more about your summit and the speakers that are coming, and what's going to be going on there. What are we going to be hearing?
Yes. Well, we're welcoming you back, number one, as a speaker at the summit. And you're going to be doing a breakout session, and those are 30 minutes in length. So the summit is the We Empower You Global Virtual Summit. And it is a 12-hour marathon day from 8:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. that we host every quarter. Our next event is on June the 9th. And we have built into our structure 2 rounds of breakout sessions. We have a mentoring session that's an hour and a half in length, where you can actually talk to mentors in a group setting and get advice and wisdom and cheerleading. We also have a networking round that's short and sweet and to the point. And we are going to plan a little bit of a party at the end. We always have a great opening. And of course, throughout the day, we have speakers on the main stage in addition to our breakout sessions. So it's a wonderful opportunity for folks to be a part of. And this year, because we're coming up on our full year anniversary, we are sponsoring 500 tickets for anyone who wants to attend. They're now free tickets until they're gone, of course. And that is because we've had over 500 registrants in the last 4 summits that we've produced. And we expect that this reunion will gather more than 500 total. So get your tickets now, as they say, at the WeEmpowerYourLife.com website, or go to your site, actually, the financialresetting.com. Click on Empower You to get your ticket through Rita.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm going to say I get to this time talk about money straight talk. When you go to Financial Resetting, you can see some tips of how you turn $1 into 2. And learn a little bit more. And this is what it's all about. It's all about how we share how we've been successful, and they get to be too. The audience, you get to be too. And you have a community that's supporting you. And I'm going to say, as entrepreneurs and business owners, a lot of times we feel like we're in the world, like you said, is that solopreneur, or that lone, I'm going to say lone wolf, right? The lone person. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'm going to say we've seen a need and we're filling it because we needed that to be filled for us. So we got to have like-minded people get together and create this environment and this world where we all get to be successful, because your success is our success for sure. And when we have that revenue coming in, some people may say, money doesn't buy you happiness, but what it does buy you is choices to get you to that happy place that you want. And if it's about health, and I can personally speak to this, knowing that when I had gotten cancer, and worrying about my finances just made me really, and my family, feel like we had financial cancer. No one should experience that, and we don't have to. We just get to be open to learning and receiving. And I'll say one of the biggest differences between people of wealth is they are open to hearing what makes sense. And if they don't know enough, they learn more. And that's all we have to do. I mean, we are constantly students of life. That does not change. Now, it just depends. Are you the student who has their head on the desk and you're sleeping? Or are you the student that's sitting at the desk kind of going, oh, I don't know what I want to do? Or are you the student going, it's me and it's time and it's time now? Because time is the one thing that we never get back. And that's why, especially for me, we're going to have some straight talk about money for sure. But the most important thing that when I realized is my money education movement boot camp needed to be a part of this collaborative, because a money education is such an amazing platform. Because if you're going to come into all this money, what are you going to do with it all?
Exactly.
So you need to know what you get to do so that you can empower and lead your life in a holistic way. And just to share with the audience right now, we're going to be doing a diploma discount on this boot camp. So can you imagine, just in this one piece, if you could gift the gift that we all wish we would have received at graduation, we are going to change the next generation of how they get to flourish and how money gets to flow. And it just really becomes this exponential model that is a revolutionary new model. It is out of the ordinary, but it is all possible because we've seen this over and over again. And I go back to the Wright brothers. I'm like, who would have thought we would see an Airbus flying in the air, right? So these models are models that are set up so that we can have success all together, and we can take that beautiful flight and have a freedom lifestyle that we always dreamed of. So I know we have a couple more minutes just to close out. First of all, Bettina, you're amazing, inspirational. I love your vision, mission, and the revolution that you are creating around revenue and shattering people's revenues, glass ceilings. And I just want to say thank you for that.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here today and have this wonderful open discussion about money and taboos.
Right? So when we break through them, we don't have to do it alone. We get to be together. So check out financialresetting.com, click Empower You, scroll down, get your free ticket now for the summit. Join us, because, it's like they said, if you wanted shade today, you had to plant the seed 20 years ago. The next best day is today if you want shade for tomorrow. It's closer than you think. We underestimate what we can do we overestimate what we can do in a day, but we underestimate what we can do in a year. And in a year, you can literally revolutionize your revenue. So join us. I really appreciate it again, Bettina. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I look forward to shattering that glass ceiling with all of you. All right. Thank you and have a great night.
Thank you so much. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye for now.